Hello everyone, this is Z Coach Bong and we are in Marketplace Simulations. I'm using the slide provided as instructor material, but instead of just using what has been supplied, I think it's a good idea, it's a great idea to also serve another objective, which is to demo story selling. Okay, so yes, the slides are useful. They're free, no need to reinvent the wheel. But taking this opportunity to make this video so that I don't have to repeat it again, I'll give the best possible output. I can stop and re record for some mistakes or for some improvements. And this is how I do it for hypermarketing classes. All right, so now I'm in the slide. In the first slide supplied, again, as part of the simulation game. I'm currently recording this using a recording software, but I'll have to cut in and out to demonstrate how it looks throughout the slide. So, all right, so now we're on the PowerPoint slide, which we will use to explain this simulation game. Again, it's full credit and copyright to the original slides made by the author of the simulation game. What I'd like to highlight with this view is that all the slides don't have narrations. You would see the narrations if there are timings on the slide. The stars here means some parts are animated or on build mode. But again, I've rearranged the slides to conform to what I feel is the best way to tell this story, to sell this story to you. And if you have this discipline, this is also a good preparation to make when you make your COSLA videos. So now let's proceed to the slides. We go to the first slide. And again, now I'm recording this through PowerPoint, through Zoom. I'm not using my recording software, and I've chosen not to be part of the slides. That's something that you can do. So this is the first slide from the instructor material. This doesn't conform to my recommendation for story selling. And again, I switched to Zoom recording because my recording software is unable to catch the build or animation effect. But in Zoom, when you're sharing your screen, all the animations that you built into the slide will be captured. So this is the cover page. The main title is Applying Marketing Using Marketplace Simulations. I've added my inputs as instructor and as your coach and professor, and you'll see that logo when there are additions or modifications which I added. But to give full credit also, this case and simulation, you'll see the name Ernest Cadote in the bottom part, right bottom part of the screen. But more than him, just be aware that the Ateneo Graduate School has paid for this to be able to access cases and simulations in Harvard Business Publishing. So that's an add-on, a value that I hope you will see is value delivered for you when you play the game. So this is the cover page. All my required presentations for the class require a cover page because it's like an executive summary of what this is all about. Again, the previous slide was good, but this is a better story cell, and the main title of Applying Marketing is better than just saying Introduction to Marketing. The size of the images are more appropriate because they're not the main thing. They just enhance the look. Yes, they're essential, but also mentioning the Ateneo, Harvard, and the transform inputs into the executive summary is also a value add to the executive summary. So again, this is the cover page. All presentations in class, whether via PowerPoint or video, should have an appropriate cover page with a main title, a secondary title, the proper size of images, and proper credit to all the sources of the information. In this case, Ateneo, Harvard, and myself, and of course, the original author, without distracting the executive summary. So a lot been said. This is just the cover page, which is the first page and the last page of the presentation. Now, when you see this transform logo in a slide, that means this is a slide that was added or adjusted by Zcoach to demonstrate story selling principle. On the other hand, if you don't see it, then that means that's the original slide from the instructor materials for the course, not adjusted. And now that if you've referenced or reviewed the guides to story selling, you'll find a lot of improvements that can be made to the slides. Unfortunately, or again, as a matter of policy, I didn't change all the slides, but I did add enough slides to demonstrate the requirement to sell our story better, which is also applying marketing in real life. Now, this is the outline. So the title is Applying Marketing via Simulation Game, and the outline has several parts. We're applying ZYXW, and it's a very proven way. Make sure that the outline works hard to communicate your key ideas. The Z, or the end in mind, is we want to have fun using a simulated real-life marketing case in class. Why? Because doing so allows everyone to understand the whole instead of the parts. And we will not teach or do everything in class, but there are things we will do and you will do for yourself and for your learning. So this is an example of our end in mind. We want to have fun in an almost real situation where it's safe to learn, and again, taking advantage of the competitive spirit in all of us. This is a cut from a YouTube video showing an actual simulation for a plane.
I'm inside the NASA Ames Research Center in Mountain View, inside one of their simulator labs, and here it is, their state-of-the-art, super high-tech 747 flight simulator.
The 4 engines in this plane are all controlled by these throttles.
Matt Gregory is a pilot and helps run this simulator, which is so lifelike. All the buttons, the instruments. It's identical to a real 747 cockpit. The video screens offer a full 180-degree view. This is the ultimate virtual reality experience. The simulator is on these giant legs that give it a 6 degrees of motion, freedom, climbing, descending, turbulence. You feel it all.
We're here to help develop research and understanding of just about anything that flies in airspace.
So the learning technology is there. It's up to you to have fun while doing it in a safe learning and competitive environment. That's what we want to happen at the end of this simulation game. Now, why do we want a simulation to replace many of the old parts of the marketing course? Because it allows us to understand the whole. So again, this is a slide from the instructional material, and it says in full that if you ask 4 blind men to describe the elephant, then a blind person can only describe what they're able to reach or touch. So the person here near the elephant's ears will tell, okay, it's a sheet of rawhide. The blind person holding the trunk says it's a steel tube. The one holding the nose or the trunk of the elephants will say it's a snake, while the 4th blind person touching the feet, the huge feet of the elephant, will probably say it's a tree trunk. Now, each of the 4 blind men are actually doing their very best to describe or to fulfill the question of this leader. Please tell me, what is it? Okay, so trying to understand marketing with isolated concepts is good, but it's like, again, being a blind person describing the elephant. When in reality, with business simulations, you're forced to tackle the different parts of the whole, like research, brands, pricing, distribution, and advertising, to see and appreciate the entire thing. So that's the advantage of simulation rather than one at a time. So these two slides were made in and included in the instructor materials. They're very nice, but again, they could be story sold better. So using the same slides with some adjustments to sync, to make sure that only those that are being discussed appear, to make sure that the headline is clearer, more direct to the point, and more focused. Let's see the adjustments to these two slides to describe why we're using business simulations. So, studying marketing one area at a time is like asking four blind men to describe an elephant. So the leader says, tell me what it is. The first person on the ear says it's a sheet of rawhide. The one on the trunk says it's a snake. The one touching the tooth, it's a steel tube. And the fourth one touching the leg says it's a tree trunk. So what you may have noticed is it's not confusing because only the parts of the visual that are being talked about appear. So we call it sync, no? Syncing the visual, the image with the text and the narration. And that's much better than being uncoordinated or showing everything at the same time, because now people or your audience don't know where to look. Obviously, it's harder to do this, and I'll show you a bit later after this how I made this appear one at a time. So there's a technique to do that. I can't touch the original slide because it came into a picture, but I'll show you in a bit. So the only thing I changed here was the headline. So the headline is Business Simulations Allow Understanding the Whole Thing. If you look back to the original slide for this, it's a lot of words, hard to understand and hard to get the key idea. Now, I didn't find the need to build anymore because we're saying all 5 areas are part of the whole thing. So now I'll show you on a different view on PowerPoint how I built the sync. So again, the sync is having different parts appear only when you are talking about it. So I'll stop share, and then I'll look at this view of the thing. So what the instructor material supplied is a picture. If you notice, it's a picture. I can't take away the elements. So what I did was to take that picture, take that picture and using a shape. So I'll go to this. Using a shape, I cover parts of the picture. So if you look at that, I put the shape to cover that. And then to the slide before it. So that's the slide. On the slide, I copy it again. Now there are 2 shapes that are covering the second because I just want this part to appear only when I'm starting to mention it. So it's easier than to use the animation. There's animation tab here. An alternative is just to copy the slide and just take away the text or the visuals that are not yet necessary. So this slide, this portion here, if I go to the previews, there are 2 things that are covered here. If I go to the previews, now there are 3 shapes covering. Okay, and then for the 4th one, I'll just cover this one for the preceding slide. So that's how the build effect can be done. Often it's easier to do that when syncing text and visual. No? Just break down the slide into separate slides altogether. Anyway, I've always said that slides are free. The time it takes for you to present is not determined by the number of slides. It's determined by how long you have to present and force the audience to see. Here, you take a lot of effort trying to lead the audience eyes and ears towards what you're talking about. And often that takes more time than just making sure that you're showing only the things that you are describing at that point, right? So now you're sure they're looking at this because it just appeared and that's what you're talking about. So that's how you build and sync. And it's a simple but crucial part of storytelling. Hopefully, this is something that you will take away from this demonstration. It's additional stuff I needed to do. The simple one would be just to use the instructor materials. But again, in service of this class, I did record this video ahead to make it better and to demonstrate storytelling. Now, on the left side is what we see, or what I call as the page differentiator, page separator, okay? So a page separator allows referencing the outline when you're moving to a different part of the presentation. Sometimes the presentation gets long and you want to, like here, I'm talking about the why. Here, I didn't have to bring the Z because I just came from the preceding outline. So it wasn't necessary to have a page separator for the Z. And you see these numbers. If I click here, they appear one at a time, right? So they don't appear together. So if I play this, visual, you will see that the elements appear only when I'm already talking about it. They're not appearing at the same time. It's useful at the very first slide of the outline, but you will notice in the page separators, you don't want that animation anymore. When I show this page separator, it's just saying now we're at Y and this is Y, right? So there's use advantages for page separators, for animations, and it's not always necessary to build animations. But if a slide is as complicated as this, then do consider having more slides to save time, okay, and to create more impact. So it's like an oxymoron, so but it's true. So now I go here, when I play this slide, there's no animation. It will just tell us, hey, I will not teach and will not do everything for you. And it goes straight to, again, not everything in the slide appears. And this is the content, okay? Again, there's logo in the bottom. This was not part of the original instructor materials. So the X is, I will not teach or do everything for you for this simulation game. First of all, there's not enough time. Second, there are help files and videos available within the simulation itself and within our shared folder. Third, in the real world, not all info is available, and you have to make decisions based on incomplete information or there's no one to help you. That's the real world. Fourth, in the real world, it's not win or lose, but just like in the simulation game, it's win or learn. You will learn more, not by winning all the time, but in the instances when based on imperfect information or incomplete information or wrong assumptions, you make a wrong decision that costs you points, then you learn more. That's why we will not teach or do everything in class, and I will not be able or will choose not to answer questions if they are already in the help files and videos. I am not Siri. Note that every time you have a question, You will say, Coach, what's the answer? I'd expect you as professionals to look for the answers first. And if it's really necessary to ask for help, that's the only time you ask for help. So this is another page separator. What is Marketplace? What will you do during the game? And the slides after this are the original slides from the simulation maker, from the simulation company. I didn't see the need to adjust or update them. Also, I don't have time to do it, but you will see what is missing, what can be improved. First, we can reduce the words so that they're more concise and easier to understand. And second, there's value in adding the build effect. Now, probably, and I'm guessing, the reason why there's so much information in the slide is they're using it as a self-talking teacher without the voice. Now, that's possible if, again, the use of the PowerPoint is to try to explain as much as possible by itself. But in our videos, using PowerPoint with the narration would take away that need. No? We don't need to put everything in the slide. We just build, we just focus on the key ideas. And that's not just on making videos, that's also on real live reporting. When you're presenting to your boss or to your company, you are there to explain, and therefore you don't need to put all the words in your presentation. So now I'll be shifting to another mode where I will appear in the slide. So I'm currently recording this with the slide on, just to give you a different experience of the presenter being part of the slide so that it's more engaging. So again, we're on the W portion, the what, when, where, how of the presentation. So we have our key objectives of Z, Y, X. We'll focus on the W. And the following slides are the original slides from the instructional materials. I didn't change them anymore. And again, since I'm narrating or explaining it, I won't need to read the slides. You can come back to it on the PowerPoint. So Marketplace is a fun way. This is the original slide. This is the story cell slide. Now, from how I'm recording it, there's a build that I put into the presentation, A, B, C, D, so that they appear in sync when I'm telling them. That's an option. Currently, because I'm recording through screen share as part of PowerPoint as a background, they don't build, but that's fine. I'll show you a bit later. So Marketplace is a game. It's competitive. You learn by doing, and you learn concepts, principles, and simulation examples. So this is the original slide, and this is the story selling slide. Again, a clear headline and a clearer message. The picture is not as huge because it's nice to have pictures, but they don't have to dominate the slide. This picture is nice, but the idea is buried under the big picture. The more important parts are the headline and what are you trying to say, and what is your support to this headline. Same here. The picture, the visual is much smaller, but again, we're not communicating the picture, we're communicating the message. So compare that to this. This is the original slide. This is the transformed story selling slide. So I'll pause here, and instead of being part of the presentation here, where I'm on the lower right part, by having PowerPoint as a background, I'll pause a bit and shift to sharing as basic, where I'm not on the slide, and you will again see the build and sync effect, which is very important to me for story selling. So I'll pause here. So you're seeing now I'm sharing my screen while on this outline mode. I'll start here. This is the original slide. And the original slide from the instructor material is you see everything, which is fine. But a better way is a transformed way is to only show what you're trying to say at the same time. So the headline is what is marketplace? It's a fun way to learn marketing. It's just a game, but it's fun, competitive. You learn by doing, and what you learn are concepts, principles, and simulation examples. So this is what I mean by being better than what is ordinary and story sell your way to success. I have a second slide. This again is the original slide from the material, and this is how I transform this slide. And sometimes you don't have to animate. You don't have to build the slides because I'm not reading numbers 1 to 6. But the 6 ideas which backs up the idea that we are really simulating real life marketing is already very apparent. So don't read everything in the slide. It's not necessary as long as it's clear. So I'll stop here again because I think there are no more transform slides in the next portion. So to be more interactive, I'll shift from being just showing the slide to being part of the slide. So now I'm also showing another good practice for presentations, which is have a second device so that you can monitor what your audience is seeing. So what you see here is my second device, which is a phone, also attending the Zoom meeting, so that when I share, I know exactly what the audience sees, whether there's a delay or I'm showing the wrong screen. That's, again, leveling up and being better in your story selling. So this was the last slide you saw. And now I resume my share with PowerPoint as background. I've showed it before. And the succeeding slides will work well with this because there's no more animation built in. So what is the simulation game? Let's focus on the content. It's a decision process. There are more than enough help files available at the touch of a button. You just need to know where to look, whether it's on the tab, or my suggestion is to already print out some of the help files. So it's easy for you to mark up and refer to at any time. Now, there are 6 quarters. You've already done 1 quarter, and the results of your decisions are being fed back to you. Again, I'm not reading everything. You're not supposed to read everything in the slide, especially when you're doing live reporting or face-to-face reporting or a video. It's not necessary. That's why there are a lot of words here that should not appear if you're presenting live or recording it on video. So there's a market and you're actually competing with a computer, but also your classmates. Reminder, we are curving the scores. So the scores are not absolute. It's how you play versus your classmates. If they have limited time, you have limited time. If you have technological struggles, they also have them. So it's still fair game. All you need to do is perform better than them, and overall the class will be curved. So the scenario is it's a bike business in 4 continents. And you have to sell your bikes throughout the world in 6 quarters in 3 different segments. And one of the decision points is where to sell. And you will have to assume certain responsibilities as part of the marketing team. And in each quarter, and there are 6, you have to make certain decisions. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will say it's taking a lot of time. But if you break it down, for say in quarter 1, there were just 3 decisions to be made. What's the name of your company? Which segment are you entering? And which office are you opening? Just those 3 decisions and quarter 1 is finished. Now, how much time do you need to make these 3 decisions? It's up to you. And decide if you want to have a greater chance of success, then of course spend more time. But really, to fulfill it, you can rely on chance and just make those 3 decisions in less than 2 minutes. So it's really, again, up to you how much time you spend on each quarter. Obviously, the chance of success increase with more input and effort from you. In quarter 2, again, there are just 4 or 5 decisions that you have to make, and you can finish those even without reading through the reference material. But if you do that, then the chances that you will do wrong or just rely on chance will be higher. But that's quarter 2. If you notice, there's no build effect. There's no sync. Everything appears at the same time, which is here. You can expect what quarter 3 will do in quarter 4, in quarter 5, in quarter 6. Again, as a reminder, while you're still within the quarter, you can submit before the deadline. You can submit before the deadline and then withdraw so that you can change or modify your answers and then resubmit with no penalty. Okay, so that's how the game works. It's imperfect, but it's how the simulation works out well for the majority. So my suggestion is always submit first so that you know what's being asked and take that opportunity to change it after you completed all the answers. It's like taking a practice swing in golf, right? Before you hit the big shot, you take several practice swings without hitting the ball, which means in our case, not exceeding the deadline, so that you will have a better feel of what it takes for that particular quarter. So the total performance evaluation is through a balanced scorecard through these 3 metrics of financial, marketing. This is market performance. There are other things as well. And again, it's a game because you're competing, and it's a wonderful way to learn, the gamification of it, and you learn by doing. So there are many benefits to it. You understand marketing as part of a greater whole. And then there's the discipline that is required for you to go through research, to go through information, and not just, again, while you can do so, just depend on instinct, even designing messages. So there are many benefits to the simulation. Of course, if you want to make the most of it, then spend more time, be more diligent. And again, going back to quarter 1, quarter 1 is about organizing the business, meaning naming the company, looking at the survey, choosing the initial target segment. This is just one decision. Company name is one decision, which outlet is another decision. So as long as the simulation game allows you to submit, then you're complete. Because the game also is smart enough to say, if you didn't submit all the answers or you exceeded certain parameters, you won't be allowed to submit. So that's the control and the guide for the game. So it's really user-friendly. If you're able to submit, you're able to meet all the parameters and all the questions. If not, it will not allow you to submit. So the learning points for quarter 1 is how to manage your team, organize the work, and so on. Okay. Again, there's a greater possibility you learn this if you read the materials rather than just submitting your answers. Now, there's nothing to turn in because every decision you make becomes part of your simulation game. Okay, so that's the nice thing about it. No PowerPoints, no reports. Just submit before the deadline. So I've added this slide. So because in story selling, the one of the last parts is to summarize what you just said. And this is basically the outline slide with some modifications, because there are 4 key ideas I'd like to summarize about this simulation game. First is the word apply. So you're applying marketing. It should be fun, not stressful. It's just a simulation, but it's simulating as close to real life as possible, so that even if you're finance, operations, you're in a different discipline, you actually became a marketer for this class. Again, it's not everything, it's not the exact thing, but it's as close as we can be. And let's have fun. Let's not stress about it. Let's make the decisions and know the consequences of these decisions. So again, this is the original slide. Marketplace is a fun way to learn about marketing. But aside from the summary page, which is a requirement for story selling, I also require to bookend the presentation with the cover page as a way to summarize what you just presented. So this is the cover page. We are applying marketing through marketplace simulations. This is a collaboration between Ateneo and Harvard, and hopefully the inputs that I bring as your coach and professor has transformed this to a better and best possible learning experience for you.